Howdy, welcome to the EEARSS Podcast, produced by Terrier TV. I am Frank Robb. That is Bill Curtis. We're missing Cindy today.
Yes.
Literally, she's out doing superhero things.
Yes.
Like she technically does all the time.
Popping out of a phone booth.
I think
There are no more phone booths anymore.
No, I saw one the other day somewhere.
Did you?
I legitimately saw one. It's upsetting me. I can't think of where it was at because it shocked me so much when I saw it. But I did see one the other day.
There's things that, as a teacher, I talk to kids all the time. And there's things that you talk to them about, and they look at you like they have no idea what you talk about a phone booth, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because they don't exist anymore. I mean, even at a convenience store.
Yeah, I saw one.
They don't have phones out there anymore.
Somewhere, and it shocked me the other day.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I'm sure somebody would, I don't know who, somebody would probably use it if they had like a dead battery in their phone or something. I don't know.
Sure.
Should we introduce Justin real quick?
Yeah.
So he can harass
so
us.
he can talk about phone booths.
So on the podcast today, we are joined by Justin Van Vliet. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
I was stressing it. I think that's the first one I've stressed that I've actually got right. In many episodes.
That's true.
You nailed
That's
it.
True.
Many episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, starting this podcast today, I think this is the first time I've ever actually watched you press all the buttons while it was all happening. Normally, I'm focused that way.
Right.
And I never focused that way. And it was, there's a lot of buttons being pressed.
Yeah, there's a few. It's not a lot.
Don't let them fool you guys. It was like watching somebody type 80 words per minute in about 30 seconds, and there are buttons going everywhere.
There's a lot of buttons there.
There's a few.
There's a lot of buttons.
It works that way.
Buttons, switches. What do you technically call the little swivelly things?
The swivel. Well, the little round things are actually called potentiometers. They call them pots for short.
Potentiometers.
So you turn up the EQ pots.
It's above my pay grade.
And then the
is that all one word? Just a potentiometer?
Yeah. It was one
is
of
that
the
seriously one
It
word?
was a vocabulary word that you had when you had TV production, and you somehow
I had that
pushed
word.
it. Yes, you pushed it out of your mind.
I did not have that word.
Potentiometer.
Potentiometer.
Did we have those things that long ago?
Oh yeah, we did.
Okay,
They've
so
been
if
around
that's
for a long
called a
time.
potentiometer, what's the slidey fella called?
Those are called faders.
Oh, I knew that, dagnabbit.
See, you knew that.
I knew that. I never heard potentiometer, I don't think.
Well, they call them pots.
Pots.
An audio guy will just say they're pots. The EQ pots.
Okay, yes.
The EQ equalization.
Yes, you're right. I do.
I tell you what,
that.
when I was at
I do remember that.
the EEARSS Eco Fest.
Yeah.
This is how old school I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's the audio booth out in the, because usually out in the crowd, out there, that's where you set up the audio mixer and everything so you can hear the sound.
Sure.
And you can set everything, and it's not there. And I'm like, what in the world? How are they? And then I saw that they had it all on the side of the stage. I said, you can't hear anything from there. How are they doing? And then I saw the guy with the iPad.
Kyle, yeah.
With the iPad, doing it all with the iPad, just standing. And I'm like,
and standing out right in the middle of everybody with 0 wires.
I am so old because I'm looking for all the cables that run out there.
What is this sorcery?
Last year we had it that way.
Okay.
Last year we had it that way. The guy was set up 100 feet from the stage. He had like a nice little thing. He had wires running everywhere. Yeah. He's an old school fella, and me and my buddy Thad, we joke because it was like the dude was living his best rock and roll dream. He was running it all by himself, and to change something, he'd have to sprint from one spot to the other, and he'd trip and fall and like barrel roll and jump back up. And a couple times I was like, man, it's a little bit loud. And he's like, it won't be the same if it's not this loud. We have to have it loud. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like you are the sound guy, so I mean, I guess you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's got to be loud.
Yeah, but he had long hair, and he would barrel roll. He'd fall. He'd trip. Like he'd try to pull his pants up, he'd trip and fall, and he'd barrel roll, and it was a whole thing.
Sounds like he had that down though.
He did have the barrel roll going pretty good. Like he would get back up from it. So I mean,
pop right back up.
There's many that would barrel roll and not come back out of it.
Just stay there.
Yeah, they'd still be there.
Exactly. It'd be a half roll, and that would be the end of you. Yeah, especially if you weren't expecting it. Expecting a roll is a lot different than not expecting a roll.
Sure.
Yeah, this is true.
Words of wisdom.
So Justin, do you have you run audio mixers before?
I have not. No. This is brand new territory for me.
See, this is not his thing.
No.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
No, although I think he probably knows something about barrel rolls.
Probably.
So we ought to ask him.
I have barrel rolled a couple times.
There we go.
Mostly unintentionally, but I have barrel rolled a couple times.
So you and I met, and there I go with the so again. I had to drop a so right in the middle of it.
There you go.
I don't know why I do that. Me and you met couple months ago on the Space Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing some reading about you and your work and the things you do. And Buddy, you're doing a lot of stuff. You have a lot of things going on. Tell us a little bit about the work you're doing outside of work and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. So I moved out here in 2021 from California, which, little tangent off that, the way I met you, the fact that I got called to help someone lift an alligator is never something that I thought I'd ever get called to do before. So just
not typical California things.
No, I thought they were messing with me when they called me.
Oh,
for that.
You thought?
Yeah, for sure.
It's always fun to call dispatch somewhere and ask for a lift assist, and they go, a lift with what? And like, don't worry, but just send me somebody. Can you just send me somebody that's feeling strong?
Send me somebody.
Yeah.
And I show
he
up.
He fits he qualifies as feeling strong. I think.
There you go. Yeah.
So just had to throw that one in there. But yeah, so I moved out here in 2021, but in California, I worked executive protection, and then I got into the medical field, so I was doing EMS, and that's kind of how I got into firearms instructing and then doing medical teaching.
Let's start this from the beginning. What is executive
protection?
What in the world is that?
Honestly, it's glorified babysitting.
He's a bodyguard.
It's a bodyguard,
man. Come on. Didn't you ever watch the movie?
Well,
yeah.
You never know if it's going to be broke down different than the way it sounds. So you have to ask the question.
Yeah.
It's
like a potentiometer, okay?
Is it exactly what it is? You are a walking anti-potentiometer in that case.
Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
That was solid.
That was good.
That was the best one I've had all day.
That was good, yeah.
Pat myself on the back. Okay.
Yeah. No, so starting
there's a lot of that going around in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a need for that, I'm sure.
Yes, a very big need. But in 2020, I linked up with a guy named Rich Graham, who's a veteran Navy SEAL. And I used to fly from California to take firearms courses from him. He has a company called Full Spectrum Warrior. And I started flying out, taking more classes. I ended up moving to DeLand, which is very close to where his facility is. And he kind of had a need for the medical side of things. And so I kind of got brought on to teach the medical courses for the company. And I've been doing that for 3 years now.
Yeah, let's say if you're in some pretty radical training, somebody's going to probably twist something, pop something.
Yeah.
It's probably a common thing.
Sure, yeah. And then I teach the gunshot wound side, stabbing side. So we teach, whether it's a car accident or you're shot or stabbed or a loved one is, if you've got a bad bleed or, pick your poison when it comes to an injury. I teach people how to mitigate that and how to intervene in that and then try to get them to a higher level of care. So
that's huge. Yeah, I can see. You can almost understand how those things kind of roll together. And yeah, that's one thing after another. There, it makes a lot of sense.
That's my barrel roll right there. They roll together.
That is a pretty solid barrel roll. Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Dagnabbit, I sewed again. Tell us. I was talking to Bill about that last night. I'm like, literally, the one thing I want to cut out of the daggum podcast is me saying so. Like somebody needs to slap me or throw something at me every single time. Shock me. Can you shock me? Can you shock it out of me?
No, I can't. I'm not allowed.
Dagnabbit.
We could make it into a game of some sort.
There you go.
See if somebody could keep track of how many you did.
No more trivia.
Yeah.
It's how many sows.
How many sows in this show.
That is a trivia in its own right.
There you go. Indeed.
How did you originally get into all this? Are you ex-military? How did you originally get into all this in California?
So I'm not ex-military, but I started doing just private security, and it's kind of funny how everything happened, but not at the same time, right? So I was doing private security. I'll try to nutshell this. I was doing private security. I got asked to work an event outside of the private security that I was doing. They ended up having one of their clients had a guard that didn't show up, and so my head of security picked me to go and help them, and they ended up liking me, so I started working more full-time for that company, working for their clients. And then I figured out that if you have an EMT, law enforcement, or military background, you actually get paid more. And I wasn't law enforcement and I wasn't military, so I thought maybe I'll go to EMT school and, get paid a little more. Like, how hard could the schooling be? And I actually liked the medical side so much that I slowly kind of backed out of doing the executive protection to work more full-time doing EMT work. Okay. So I started working on an ambulance. I was doing that for 2 years in California. And then I was just a sponge. I wanted to learn as much as possible. I got into more of the tactical side of things with the shooting. Started doing like pre-hospital trauma life support, tactical combat casualty care, and just kind of, adding feathers to my cap, if you will. And so that's kind of here we are now.
And how did you make that move from California to Florida? Is it just the job opening came up and you jumped on it?
You know, it wasn't even a job opening. It was kind of the way that the world was going, especially in California. I wasn't very comfortable there anymore. The cost of living was super high. Didn't really like the politics and the direction that it was going, not to bring politics up. But so it was kind of you know what, I have people who I've met with my training and flying out there. I'm just going to kind of move across the country and see what happens. So I didn't actually have like a job when I moved, but I had people who had offered me positions. So I actually worked at Halifax Hospital in the operating room as an OR tech. I did that first. And then I went to paramedic school after that.
Wow.
Okay. Now, were you married when you moved?
I was, yeah.
Now, how did your wife feel about this?
She was on board with it.
Okay, cool.
We're since divorced now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she was on board with it at the time. Yeah.
Now, is she still in Florida?
She is still in Florida. Yes.
Okay. Well, that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
she
good.
is still in Florida.
Yeah, it's a long move, buddy.
Oh yeah.
That's a long
Drove
move.
across the country.
That takes a lot of faith, you know. And
Yes.
I know you're a man of faith. So tell us a little bit how that kind of rolls into all this.
Yeah. So it's like I said earlier, like nothing happens. You know, everything happens for a reason,
No
right?
doubt about it.
And you know, I felt like I was getting in my own way with a lot of things. So for instance, I actually tried to join the military at 29, and I kept having like doors slam in my face, right? And then I tried to go law enforcement, but California I couldn't with the tattoos that I had. So I kept feeling like the rug was getting pulled out from under me, but I had to stop, and I went, at no point have I sat down and prayed about any of this. Right? At no point did I go, hey, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And so when I actually did move to Florida, and everything kind of has snowballed from there, and it's been pretty incredible.
Yeah, I've talked about this to groups before. It's hard to explain foreknowledge. Really having free will to do something, but yet the good Lord kind of understanding where you're going to go with it before you go with it, even though you're doing it of your own free will.
Sure.
And then it's still being within His plan to work out the way it does.
Yeah.
It's somebody who's not a person of faith. They kind of look at that and they say it's luck, but it's a lot more than that going on.
Yeah, that's definitely, there's no luck really involved. There's too many, if I were to be honest with myself and you look back at everything that's happened, you can see God's hand working in all of it. Like even the mistakes, like even, because there's all these, opportunities and things that come up in life, and you hit these crossroads all the time. And the Lord knows how it's going to end up no matter which way you go. Now He has a path for you, but you can probably attest to this, how many times we wander off that path and come back, No
doubt.
And, I can say it's recently I kind of fell off a little bit and kind of lost a little bit of faith, and I've since reconnected with some people and kind of brought my faith back. And it's one of those things where, even though we may be off the path, like He's never left us.
Right.
Like He's still there right where we were, or right where we left Him. He was walking with us the whole time. He was just on the right path, and we were over here doing stupid things. Right.
Yeah. A lot of times it is that is true.
Yeah.
Off in the weeds,
that's
looking
right.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got this.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
It's human nature without a doubt.
For sure.
So now that you're down here,
Mm-hmm.
We've ran into each other at another establishment around here.
Yep.
Do you see that being the career the rest of the way out? You're going to hang there?
We'll see.
See where it goes?
Yeah. At the very least, I think I'd like to at least retire my dog, which is going to sound, I'm a canine handler. So I'd at least like to retire my dog. But, it's one of those things where
it's a great place to work out there.
It is a great place.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, yes, I'm going to retire there, but it's not up to me,
right.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah.
Where I see myself, I'm still going, I've got more schooling that I'm doing. I don't like to sit still. More schooling that I'm doing, just trying to just gain more knowledge and be better. And if other doors open up for other opportunities, praying on it and seeing if it's the right way to go, and then go in that direction. So, but it is a great place to work.
The group you're with over in DeLand, and you're doing your firearms training and your medical training over there.
Mm-hmm.
How does that, is that like a place that anybody, the public, can come to and train? How does that all work? I don't know much about them.
So the company's called Full Spectrum Warrior. It's actually the shirt that I'm wearing right now is from the event that we have every year. It's actually this weekend coming up.
Okay.
So I'll dive into that a little bit, but anyone can come out to our public courses. we get a lot of private training requests for Rich. He's the main guy. He started the company, head instructor. But we do public courses where anyone can sign up and take anything from basic pistol, basic rifle, all the way up to, precision rifle and things like that. So he's got 110 acres.
I was going to say, you must have a lot of land out there.
110 acres. He's got an obstacle course. He's got a cabin that sleeps about 12 comfortably. He's got a gym. He's got a precision rifle that goes out to 850 meters. So he has a lot of space. He
can literally go there and train and do whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
So he does a lot of sustainment training for a lot of the SWAT teams in Florida. He travels in Newton County, Mississippi, does their sustainment training for SWAT. He's a very busy guy.
Yeah, I guess so. Holy moly.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So I gave you a little bit of homework.
Yes.
You got your homework?
I got my homework.
All right, let's do it. Let's jump into it.
The trivia time, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's see what we got.
Do you have a theme behind your trivia?
Well, so he asked me, he's like, you do firearms and weightlifting, so do maybe some firearms and weightlifting trivia. It's some of the most boring trivia I've ever read in my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
who did this lift? I don't know,
It's funny how that works sometimes.
You'd have to be so familiar with it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And I have no idea. I didn't know any of the trivia, and so.
It's funny. It's your life, and I find that in the animal trivia questions sometimes. Remember Zach from the Brevard Zoo when he came here.
Yep.
He had some questions about some animals that I never heard of them animals before. You know what I mean? I was like, He's like, oh, you'll know this one, Frank. And I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yep.
Like I thought I knew a couple of things.
But he thought you would know it.
It's nice being humbled. I enjoy being humbled.
There you go. Exactly.
It's never a bad idea.
So I have one firearm one, and the
Okay.
rest of them are animal ones.
Okay.
It's a solid mix.
Yeah. Well, one firearm one. We'll call it a mix. All right. So, which famous artist used to carry a revolver loaded with blanks that he used to shoot at people who struck him as overly dull?
Okay. I got
Whoa, that's
two.
disturbing in a
I got
in a
two
long
that
way.
I think it might be.
Really?
Yeah.
I have no idea,
I think
so go for it.
Maybe Picasso.
Yeah, Picasso.
Okay. I was going to
Really?
go
Yeah.
with Dolly is the other
Okay.
one.
Yeah. No.
Either one of those were
How
eccentric
did
enough.
nobody stomp that dude in the ground for doing that?
He
I don't
lived
know.
in Spain and he was a famous artist.
Oh, man, I'm surprised somebody just didn't take him and beat him with that gun. I mean, can you imagine
It
that?
might have happened.
Yeah.
But see, that would have been interesting. And he shot the gun because they weren't interested.
Right.
So they weren't going to do anything.
So
I think we should
they
bring
were,
that back.
They were dull. Okay.
They were dull.
You do that to the wrong person. It's going to be the last thing you ever
no,
do.
for sure.
That's not
Yeah,
going to
like,
end well.
Goodness gracious,
It is
man.
not going to end well.
Yeah, I
yes.
could just see that. That's a fist fight waiting to happen.
Oh,
if not a lot worse.
Yeah.
In Florida, it'd be a lot worse, probably.
Yep.
Oh, 100%.
Could
Yeah.
be.
Oh, 100%.
That yikes. Prison time at least. These
Oh,
times
yeah.
and ages,
Oh, yeah.
even with blanks, that's prison time.
Yep.
That's a different world, man. Well, so Picasso, what year was that? Any idea what years those were?
Pablo Picasso.
Probably around when the phone booth was invented.
Yeah, probably about when they used the phone booth.
Yeah.
When the phone booth was in its heyday.
Right.
Oh.
What is a phone booth,
in
by
the
the way? I wanted to
60s?
ask you guys, but I was being quiet.
Oh, listen, he does.
Oh,
You ever
got
watch
jokes.
Superman? You ever watch Superman?
There you go.
See, there you
That
go.
is the best thing. That's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
So wait a minute. Nowadays, in the new Supermans, he just changes, doesn't he?
He just runs down the street and
That's so weak.
changes.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that until
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Superman used to be in the phone booth.
And
Superman.
Speaking of that, too, actually, I haven't. You remember that call boxes used to be on the sides of the road, too?
Oh,
Indeed.
yes.
Yes.
Those are gone.
They are gone.
Yeah,
I noticed
we
that the
did-
other day, actually. Yeah.
So
No more
I wonder
call.
what happened to the wires. And they were there not too long ago.
Right.
They were there as recent as maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
Like every couple of miles down 95 and stuff.
If I would have known, I would have prepared a trivia question about phone booths and call boxes.
So somewhere on the side of 95, there's a place you can send like Morse code. There's wires sticking up somewhere. You can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's
you
got to
can do
be
that. Yep.
hot wire the box or something. Okay, sorry.
No. you're
Get carried
good.
away.
Dots and dashes.
All right, next one. What is a group of parrots called?
I know this. Somewhere in my brain, this information is there.
I believe that.
Now, do you know that my parents live in Satellite Beach?
Okay.
Right.
There is a wild, a group
Many.
of parakeets
Oh yeah.
and parrots,
Many.
and I saw them one day. They were in the
You hear 'em long
palm
before you see
tree,
'em.
palm tree out in front of my parents' house, And it was the most amazing thing. They're just wild. They're just out there and chirping. Yeah, you're right.
They've been there for years.
They're
there's tons
so
of
loud.
them.
Yeah, there's tons of them out there.
Yeah, you hear them long before you see them. Remember, in Belize the last trip, it was the same thing. In the morning, you'd get up and it was what kind of parrot or whatever would you hear before you saw it? We'd try to pick out what it would be before it would show up.
Oh, okay.
A lot of birds are.
And yet you don't know what a group of them is called.
I should know.
You should. Absolutely.
When you say it, I'll go, yeah, I knew that.
I didn't.
But yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any guesses?
No,
I mean, no. Yeah,
I mean, a group of crows is called a murder. So
right,
who in the world could figure out what a group of parrots is called?
It's something probably just as ridiculous.
It is pretty ridiculous. That's why I asked it.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
It's a pandemonium.
Dag flippin' nabbit. I knew that. I did know that. I'm saying I would have said that anyhow, but I did know that.
Pandemonium?
Yeah, because they make a pandemonium.
yeah.
They're a
Yeah,
bunch of just loud rascals. Ooh, did I just insult parrot people by calling them rascals?
You did.
I'm good for doing things like this. I don't mean to, but apparently I hurt people's feelings with things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only when they're in the studio.
Be careful.
Sorry.
My feelings aren't hurt. It's okay.
I appreciate that.
We're good.
A pandemonium. I won't forget it now because it's the same letter that the parrot starts with.
There you
You'll
go.
still forget it, but that's okay.
It's P-A-P-A.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
It's going to be a trivia question at our trivia thing for Cindy.
Probably.
It probably will.
I thought
Probably.
maybe a group of pandas would be a pandemonium, but what do I know?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh, that's a lot of... Is there such a thing as a group of pandas? Is that a thing?
Yeah, there would have to be a group of pandas, yeah.
Well, I mean, ours have got to be two together at some
Are
point to make a third one.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if
is that a thing,
solitary?
a group of pandas?
Well, there's not a group of grizzly bears, I don't think, are they? They're solitary creatures.
Well, there's got to be a second grizzly bear occasionally to make a third grizzly
sure,
bear. But
yeah. I saw that in Alaska when I
you
was
saw
there
two
this
grizzly
summer,
bears?
making a third grizzly bear.
No
yes.
kidding.
Oh, yes.
Huh.
My guide, the guy.
Wow.
It was, we were in the national park, the mountain used to be called Mount McKinley, but Denali.
Yeah, Denali.
Denali. And we were in there, and our guide said he'd been doing it for 5 years and he'd never seen it before. and it was up the hill, and we
It's
saw
too
it.
funny. Okay. The parrots. Sorry, that was
Okay.
That was
Well,
really good. Yeah.
I looked up what a group of pandas is called.
What is
Okay,
it?
and
It's just as ridiculous as the parrot one. They're called an embarrassment.
Who would have ever guessed that? Why? I wonder why they're.
can't
I
be
wonder,
true.
It says-
I wonder why they're.
It says
he's putting us on.
Yeah.
it comes from
No.
the hilariously clumsy movements and lifestyles of pandas.
Okay.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden it starts to make a little sense.
There you go.
All right. An embarrassment. Well, I guess it would be. I mean, one of them, I guess, is supposed to be pretty funny. So a whole
Okay.
bunch of them would be pretty hilarious. I guess they would embarrass themselves. All right. Goodness gracious. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. What we got next?
All right, here we go.
Okay. What was it? A parrot is a pandemonium.
Pandemonium.
I ain't gonna forget that.
Right.
Okay. Even though I just did.
What is the closest living relative to the T-Rex?
Oh. Isn't it a bird of some kind?
Probably a chicken.
Could be. That's
Prob-
what I'm going with, the chicken.
Probably chicken.
It's a chicken.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yep.
I told you when I was doing DNA stuff, looking for primers for alligator blood. That was one of the things that that was the closest relative to the alligator was supposed to be a chicken
Uh-huh.
because they didn't have any other primers to use
Right.
for doing electrophoresis.
Oh,
Yeah.
easy for you to say.
Yeah.
My tongue hurts.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. That was
All right.
good. That was a good one.
All right, next
It does
one.
make sense. They do look like little T-Rexes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which has the thickest fur of any mammal?
The thickest?
Uh-huh. Thickest fur.
Bet you it's something ridiculous like an otter.
I would go with a polar bear.
Ooh, something that spends time in the water for sure.
Yeah,
It's something that
definitely.
spends time in the water.
I would think.
Otter, polar bears. Actually, is their fur thick though?
don't
I mean,
know.
so you talking about like the hair follicles themselves being thick, or is it like thick matting?
I'm only reading the trivia question.
I could go back and forth
He
on
can't
that.
elaborate. He can't elaborate.
Well, it's
Literally.
something like a beaver or something. It's something.
Oh, yeah, beaver. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's got to be some animal that spends a lot of time in water. It's got to be.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Cool.
how far off are we?
No, you're not off at all.
Oh, okay.
It's otter.
Is it an otter?
It is otter, yeah.
First
Okay.
guess.
Yeah.
High
There
five.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's the first one I've gotten in a long time. The chicken
Yeah.
one doesn't count. That was that was already my brain. It made sense to be an animal that was in the water.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
My brain works in weird ways. Okay, what we got?
All right. So next one, I'm gonna reword it a little bit because it's worded funny. But how can you tell the age of a lion?
I think I know this one too.
Oh, do you?
I believe I do.
Okay.
I believe it's teeth wear.
Well, that would make sense, but how are you going to examine a lion?
Well, once he's dead, I
teeth.
guess.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't think
guess.
they live a long time anyhow. I think it's
They don't?
6-7 years, something like that.
Really?
In the wild, I don't think. Well, I think from what I understand, a lot of them are dealing with like feline AIDS.
How old are the lions that the zoo has? Of our zoo?
Well, they don't have to work for a living, so I imagine
Well,
they're
I
much older.
Oh yeah. When I went to see them, they just
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
true.
they're just lounging around, man.
Yeah,
they're
them
laying
checkers
out there. They
have
weren't.
Full salad bar.
Oh, yeah.
Salad bar.
Yeah.
They got everything they want handed to them every day.
Yep.
It's like the critters we keep. You couldn't ask for more.
Oh yeah.
They got the handoff. They get the handoffs. But I would say it'd be paw wear or teeth. Something to do with their teeth. I think their mane might change from age too.
Maybe.
But if I had to make a first guess, I'd say teeth.
So the answer is their nose.
Ooh.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Does it say why?
It does not. I did
I
not come.
wonder-
I did not come prepared with follow-up
No,
facts.
so-
I wonder if their face like spreads. as
You
they
do
get
know
older.
that every animal that has a nose like a dog, just like our fingerprint, each one of their nose prints are different.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
That, is that
Yeah.
weird?
I knew that,
So
yeah.
really, if you took every dog's nose print and put it on a piece of paper, just like a fingerprint, they're all different.
Is there an equivalent of that for a gator too? Like, do they have something that's specific to them?
Does it-
DNA.
Does a
Just
gator,
DNA.
does a gator have pads? on
They
there?
do, but I don't think they're that. I'm sure scale pattern will probably be different for each one, somewhat.
Right.
But I don't think there's anything like that for an
No.
alligator.
Okay.
That's a great question though. I think it's supposed to be that way for any animal that has a little moist nose.
Okay.
It's weird.
Makes sense.
All right.
Hmm.
Last one.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So I'm gonna reword it too because it's worded a little weird. But as far as comparison in size, how big is a newborn kangaroo? So think of something like, as a
Oh.
newborn, how big is a newborn? And then think of something that's that size, if that makes sense.
I'd say a full-grown rabbit.
No, I think they're very small. That's one of the reasons that they stay in the pouch. It's like a baby panda. They're very small
An
and very
embarrassment.
fragile. Well, just the baby panda itself, not the whole group.
Okay.
So
There
we're
could be
not-
a whole group of baby pandas.
We're not going to call out the baby panda. But, that's one of the problems that they had in the National Zoo with the pandas is that they're so
Oh my
fragile
gosh.
when they're first born
Yeah.
that the mother actually accidentally sat on the panda one time, killed the baby, sat on it.
It's unfortunate.
I think kangaroos, though, are small like that.
Embarrassing.
They're very small.
Sorry, that was
I see what
inappropriate.
you did there.
inappropriate.
That was
That was a little
inappropriate.
I see what you did there,
inappropriate.
Yeah, that was very good. That was very good.
Um,
Yes, you must be proud of yourself.
I'm really not. So what you're saying, more squirrel-sized, or even smaller?
I have
yet?
never seen a baby squirrel. I don't know what a baby squirrel looks
Well, I'm
like.
talking
I don't
like a
think they
full-grown
exist.
squirrel.
I don't think
see
they.
baby squirrels all the time.
I'm talking about
Full-
smaller than.
A baby
Then
squirrel's
you-
about the size of my noggin.
I think. Okay, yeah, I think that's small,
Yeah, baby squirrel's like noggin-sized.
like a baby chick or something, like a chicken, small, baby chick.
Now I'm thinking
Think
about baby chickens on top of my body.
I can't be held responsible for what you think.
Okay. Will their heads bobble the same way?
Probably.
Chickens' heads would bobble. This is true.
Well,
Bobbly
we're
chicken
talking
heads.
about kangaroos.
I
We
know,
are talking
dag
about
nabbit.
Which are called joeys, by the way.
They are called
okay.
Joeys.
What's a group? What's a group of called?
Josephs.
Yeah.
Joseph, yes, yes.
That was good. That was good.
yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say adult squirrel sized, like
Okay.
gray squirrel.
I
What
think
do you
small.
think? You think
I think
small
very
squirrel
small.
sized?
I think like that size.
It's actually a lima bean.
No
Lime-
joke.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
Mhm.
Okay.
How's
You
that
were
work?
close, yeah.
They must grow.
Well, that's because
Silly
they're born
fast.
and then they go into the pouch. They stay in the pouch and they actually gestate more in the pouch.
Right. So they're born and then they're born again.
Kind of. I mean, they
Look at
have
that.
to. They have to. They can't. They're not viable when they're born. They have to be taken care of. The mother has to put them in the pouch and take care of them till they can be viable, till they can go out and live on their own.
Okay, I see a lot of interesting
Yeah, you like that?
topics from that alone.
Here,
That's
I thought the
really neat.
lion and the lamb were symbolic, and now it's a kangaroo all along.
Yeah, who would have ever guessed?
There you go.
Wow, it's true. Yeah, there's something there to that. I need to do more reading about that. That's interesting. Huh. Wow.
See, we've left him flabbergasted.
There's a lot of big words used on this show. I was not prepared
I
for
was going
this.
to try to break them down. So it's parrot. It's I was in a pandemonium,
Uh-huh.
and then I was embarrassed, and then I was flabbergasted.
Yes. There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't, but several things were.
Things
Several
around you.
Several
Right.
things around me. I would like to have a room full of pandas.
It'd be an embarrassment.
It would be
It'd be awesome.
an awesome embarrassment.
Well, they would probably destroy everything in the entire room. Wouldn't
Probably.
They? Are they
yes.
destroyers?
They're not. Well, they're not very
I don't know. I've
graceful.
never met one.
They're not very
I
graceful.
wonder if they like start picking up things and like walking away with it or throwing it at us or
I
something.
don't think so.
I came across an army of raccoons today that tried to
Well, you
murder
know,
me.
pandas are related to raccoons.
Oh, that's the
very
reason I mentioned
closely.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very closely.
Yeah, they were growling at me, and they brought all their little their friends out of the woods, and they were all growling at me, and it was I'm not a big fan of. I think they're awesome. I just do not want to have like a scrap with a raccoon because there's no way you would win that.
Oh yeah.
Things
no.
are like gorilla
no.
strong. They're ridiculous. Like you don't want to play that game.
I'm going to take your word for
It's a
it.
bad idea. Very bad idea. That would be a pandemonium. Yes. All right. I digress. I digressed. Finally digressed. All right, Justin, thank you so much for being on the podcast
Yeah,
with us.
Of course, yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
for having
Really-
me. I
really
appreciate it.
it, buddy.
Yeah.
It was a blast. Thank you for tuning in to the EEARSS Podcast. You can find us on all platforms by searching EEARSS or EEARSS or go to alligatorrob.com. Rob does have 2 B's. It's a thing. We were the robbery clan back in
Yes.
the day, so we dropped the ERY when we came over here
They
because it
were
just
not
kind of
good
made
people.
sense. Well, the Scottish version apparently wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is. I think we're
You
all
guys
right.
were rogues.
Yeah, I think we're all right. I think we're all right now. But anyhow, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Edna Wilson with Celebrate Remax Aerospace for sponsoring our program. Thank you to Pat Fisher Nissan. And we'll catch you all next week. Bye-bye.